Hey guys, and welcome to the video. Today we're going to be talking about multiplayer in Fable. Now I understand at this time it's one of those sort of niche topics considering we don't have even that much gameplay for the new Fable, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to just take a guess and theorize how they're going to be handling multiplayer content in this upcoming game. If we get any multiplayer content at all, that is. Remember, multiplayer is yet to be confirmed for Fable, and as scary as I thought it may be, we might actually not get any multiplayer for the upcoming game. I am, like, getting my ass beat right now. Hold up. Where was I? So, I thought today that we'd dive into it and kind of have a debate about if I think we'll be getting any multiplayer and just take guesses at that. And also have a little debate about how they could handle multiplayer, ways they've done it in the past, and how they could improve it in the future. Because it's safe to say that Fable's multiplayer, it's not always been its strong point. So, let's not waste any time and get into it. So I feel like the important question above everything is, are we going to be getting a multiplayer for this game? And I do have a couple things I want to speak about on this. First off, we have no official confirmation, as I have said. I mean, not one source has come forward and gone, yeah, we're getting Fable multiplayer. You'll be able to play with your friends. No marketing, no posts, no tweets, no anything. But there have been some rumours from unofficial sources. Cast your mind back a couple years. Do you remember when one of the biggest Fable rumours were that the game is going to be an MMO? There were a ton of things just circulating that they thought Fable was going to be this multiplayer only game, kind of reminiscent of maybe Fable Legends, and that was the upcoming title we're going to be getting. Obviously, this is not true. It's very much a single player game, and this was eventually confirmed to be a false and just kind of a lie, really. But the question is, where did they get this information from? Why did the original leaker or poster say that they think it's going to be a multiplayer only game? Now, of course, this isn't really something I can 100% confirm, but my theory might be that they saw some serious work go towards some sort of multiplayer element for the game. And whilst it's not a solid theory to go on, I think it does have some basis. If you don't particularly know too much about what the higher-ups want for the upcoming Fable game, and you saw a bunch of devs actively working towards a multiplayer side, you might think, hey, is this going to be a multiplayer game? I'm probably leaping a bit here, but let's be honest, the fact that this was such a big rumor when the game launched does make me think that we'll probably get a multiplayer element to this game. Another big element that comes to mind is just simply that, well, it's Playground Games. All their Forza Horizon games obviously are multiplayer, and obviously since they're making a Fable game, when they look back in the series, they'll also see that a lot of the games had multiplayer too. So I think Playground Games are going to analyze what people liked about the older Fables when making this game, and I think multiplayer is going to be a pretty big segment of that. And for those reasons, I do think us getting a Fable multiplayer is somewhat likely. I think that simply the fact that it's been in the games before, and it's Playground Games who are known for making a lot of multiplayer content, and since it's also on the Forza engine, I don't know how much it will help, but I imagine it'll make things a bit easier to implement multiplayer support. But yeah, considering they like multiplayer games themselves and have been actively making multiplayer games for a long time, I don't think it's too far of a jump to assume that this game will have a multiplayer element. But let's get to the more fun stuff, which is how should they handle multiplayer? Now, we don't have a ton of resources to pull from here. We pretty much have Fable Legends, which I think if we can avoid that at all costs, we'll be doing ourselves a benefit. I obviously never got to play that game, but by the looks of things, it's not something I'd have enjoyed very greatly. There is how Fable 3 handled multiplayer, which I thought for the most part was a big improvement over obviously how Fable 2 handled multiplayer. Now, Fable 2 made it so you literally couldn't be a hero when playing with someone else. You had this sort of template character who was effectively the hero's sidekick. You couldn't create a character, you couldn't put your own hero across. You played as quite literally a player 2. That sucked. Now with Fable 3, they obviously changed this and you could actually be who you want to be, and obviously the King of Albion or Queen of Albion, and I thought that was really cool. Obviously it's nice to know you can play as your own single player character in a game like Fable, even if you are playing with friends. Of course, though, to a certain degree, even Fable 3 was fairly limited. I mean, it was quite literally you can play with one other hero, to my knowledge. You couldn't really fight with that hero, to my knowledge. You could trade gear. But there wasn't a great deal of, like, gameplay elements specifically based around co-op. It really was Fable with a +1. And that's not inherently bad, but I think that in modern gaming, we can do a lot better. So, what are some ideas I think could be added to make Fable's multiplayer a lot better? But first of all, just so you know, let me finish the sentence before you make your assessments on what I'm about to say here. I think it should take some elements from GTA Online and how they handle multiplayer. Now listen, I know, okay, that is like red flags across the board, but I'm not talking about specifically how Rockstar handle the content or the fact that, you know, we haven't had an actual GTA game in over a decade now. What I more so mean is I like the idea of us being able to hop into a lobby with, say, 4 to 8 other heroes around the map, and we can all be doing our own separate things, doing our own little gameplay things, and just kind of come across each other, and then if we want to work together, we can party up. That to me seems like a pretty fun way of handling a Fable Online without it going full MMO. I think it would be cool if they perhaps added some co-op exclusive quests. I'm not asking for a ton here, because I know that co-op is inherently in a Fable game not going to be the most used feature, but just some basic ones where we can have fun with our friends. I would like for them to also really go back to where trading was a big thing. I don't know how many of you guys remember Fable 2 in its prime multiplayer. I didn't necessarily play in its prime, but I've played it a lot since, and I've had a lot of fun with the trading systems. So obviously in Fable 2, there was a system where you could collect a doll throughout the game, and you could only find one doll, but there were 5 in the set. So you would have to trade with all these other heroes to get your full set. And I thought that was a really cool thing to do, how like the most veteran collectors out there are able to acquire items that they otherwise wouldn't be able to collect with the help of the community. And it's stuff like that that I think will really push Fable forward, and I think the trading is obviously going to be a big part of that. Another thing I would like is duels, or like fights. I think the best way to handle a system like this would be to effectively have just 2 heroes pit against each other in the arena. Looking at the combat of Fable, the reboot, I mean, it looks a bit more slow-paced and more tactical from what I've seen, and I don't inherently hate that, but I think it would be a great way to add sort of a more tactical 1v1 element of combat, or hell, if we can actually do co-op with more than one other hero, I could see some really cool, like, duel modes where 2 people go against 2 people, or maybe a 4v4. Now, don't worry, I'm not trying to turn this into Call of Duty, I'm just saying that these are things that people could perhaps enjoy if they start to add some more PvP mechanics. I think it would be really cool if they could implement the co-op design into the quests as well. And by this, I mean, like, say you have a quest where in single player, you have to walk through a cave and kill a bunch of hobs, a very average standard quest. Well, it'd be pretty cool if you were playing with 2 people, you still only have one hero walking through the cave, but the other hero is playing on, say, I don't know, the other side of the cave, shooting arrows to help you out, and you could like work together to get through the quest better. I think that would make for better balancing, and it'd be really cool to kind of be able to help each other in these quests. There are games like that where they expect the co-op partners to work together to get through missions, and I think it works pretty well, and it can add a lot of fun to the co-op experience. I think it would be cool to get stuff like seasonal events and seasonal rewards. Stuff, for example, like if you play in Halloween, you can get a Halloween helmet or something, I don't know, or a Halloween weapon. And that weapon is only limited to, say, Halloween 2025. So you know that if someone has that sword, that weapon, that they played the game on the first Halloween of the game's launch. And that is obviously going to be a desirable collectible. And, you know, it's not the only thing that needs to be like that. I mean, you could have a ton of stuff like that. You could have full sets of armor where you have to play, say, every season of the year, which is obviously a very bad example off the top of my head, but let's say you can get winter boots, a summer chest plate, a fall hat or something. I don't know, I'm being stupid here, but you get the point. I think it could be cool if they started adding some seasonal rewards to get people playing. I know that this is, of course, very optimistic, considering Fable hasn't got multiplayer confirmed, but hey, this is just fun, fan theorizing, and just kind of what I would love to see. These are just some of the things I think could make co-op a really cool thing. And again, I have no idea how they would implement half of these things. I'm not a game dev, okay? I don't know if half of these things are even possible. But I think that people will be expecting more from a multiplayer element than how they had it before, if they decide to go that route. I truly do hope they do implement multiplayer, because I think it's something that can keep the games going for so much longer than the sell-by date. That being said, of course, if Fable doesn't have multiplayer, it's not like, oh wow, that game is dead. It's just a case of, I wish it would, because I think it'd be fun to play with friends and have different experiences. Just like we did in those Fable games oh so long ago. Anyways though, that's all I got for this video. I'm not completely lost upon the fact that talking about multiplayer this early is a wild and stupid thing to do. I mean, let's be honest, we don't know a million things about this latest Fable game, but I just thought it'd be cool to theorize and just kind of have some fun guesses of what a multiplayer could look like in modern gaming. No Fable battle passes, please. Let me know down below what you would want in a multiplayer, and thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you like Fable content. I'm going to be making a ton of it. And yeah, I can't wait to see you guys soon. Thanks for watching.